students, welcome back. Today we are going to get into solving equations. So equations are a little bit different than expressions, and what makes them different is that they have an equal sign. So that means that we've got our math problem, our expression, but we also already have the answer. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, why would we do that? Well, we use equations when we might know something, but we also have things that we don't know. So we're going to write an equation to take what we know and solve for what we don't know. And that'll become more clear as we work on this. But first, we're just going to learn the steps for solving, and then over time, we'll learn how to take a real-world situation and turn it into an equation. That's where we get really, really good at solving problems in algebra. So we'll notice that we've got a bunch of equations here. So here's one you've seen, just simple addition. 3 plus 8 is 11. Here's what we would call an algebraic equation. So see how we've got our variable? And we know that some number plus 6 is 14. Now we're going to learn how to solve for that number. And I know some of you are going, oh, that's easy. I already got the answer. I know my addition facts. Good. We're going to start out with really, really easy problems that most of you could look at and probably get the answer in your head. But we're going to really focus on the work and the steps, because if we learn the work and the steps, when the problems get crazy hard, and they're gonna get crazy hard by the time you get into high school, one math problem is gonna take an entire page. So it does get crazy. But we're gonna know how to go through the steps and understand what's happening so that we're not as intimidated by those really hard problems, because we're gonna know what we're doing. So it's gonna be really important that you show all your steps. We cannot do things in our head. You gotta show me what you're thinking in your brain. I can't see inside that brain, so you show me what's going on in there by writing everything down on your paper. That's the only way that I can see what you're doing. So again, we're gonna learn how to solve all of these equations that have variables in them. And we're gonna do a process called inverse operations. Okay, that sounds really complicated. It just means we're going to look at the problem and we're going to do the opposite of the steps that we see. Now, today we're going to start with problems that only have one step. They only have addition, or they only have subtraction. And then throughout this week, we're going to build, and they're going to get a little harder, and we're going to add one more step. One more step, one more step. So it's going to be important that we really practice and keep up, because they'll get pretty hard pretty quick. So what we're going to be doing is the opposite. So that basically means if we see addition, we're going to undo the addition by subtracting. If we see subtraction, we're going to undo the subtraction by adding, right? And this is called isolating our variable. We're trying to get our variable all by itself, because that's our answer. Our answer is, what number does the variable equal? Does it represent? Okay, so we're going to think of our equation like a balance, right? So if I have the equation 5 plus 2 equals 7, and if I think of this like a balance or a teeter-totter, right? And this basket over here has the same weight as this basket over here. But if I were to take something off, like I were to say, okay, I'm going to remove 2 apples from the basket, what would happen to my teeter-totter? Well, this guy would shoot down to the ground, that guy would shoot up in the air, right? That would be a problem. We'd be out of balance. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to also take 2 away from the right side. And that's exactly how solving an equation works. So to help us, I'm going to suggest that you draw a line down your equal sign, because that way you can make sure you're doing the same thing to the left that you're doing to the right. All right, so here we go. Here's our equation. 10 plus n equals 18. So I see addition, right? I'm adding these two things together. Now my goal is to always get my variable alone. So this guy is going to stay. I'm not going to move him. What I want to do is move the 10. So I need to get rid of 10. Well, I get rid of 10 by taking 10 away. But if I take 10 away on the left, all of a sudden my teeter-totter, my balance is going to fly out of balance. So I also am going to take 10 away on the right. Now my teeter-totter or my balance stays level. So if I had 10 and I took 10 away, that's now 0. Anytime I get 0, I get to cross them out. So I'm going to leave just the n. Then we're going to go over to the right side and do the same thing. We're going to subtract. So 18 minus 10 is 8. And we put our equal sign in. So this is where it gets real important to understand that this is our answer. So our answer is n equals 8. Now, we're going to practice checking our problems because that'll help us catch mistakes, especially when we have problems with negatives. We make a lot of mistakes because our brain likes to jump to conclusions that aren't always true. So when we check, all we do is we go back to the original problem, we rewrite it, and we plug in our answer just to make sure we didn't mess up anywhere. So we plug in, okay, 10. I think that n is 8, and I'm just going to double check. Now, a lot of people will stop there. You need to actually take a minute, think to yourself, and do the addition. I like to take out a Post-it note and just put a Post-it note over the 18 and cover it up. That way I'm not tempted to be lazy and not actually do the addition, because it's real frustrating when you get your test back or when you look over your answers and you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made that addition mistake. So don't be lazy, take the extra second. 10 plus 8 is 18. I take my Post-it off. Okay, I needed to get 18. So as long as both sides match, then you know you solved correctly. Okay, but again, I want to emphasize we must show all of these steps. You must show the steps. I understand that they're not hard, that they take one step, that a lot of them you can do in your head. You still need to show your steps. Okay, we're going to move on to another example. This time I put a negative in there. Our brain likes to trick us on negatives, so be really careful. Okay, so same process. Our goal is to get n all by itself. So we need to look at what is on the same side as n we want to get rid of. So we see a minus 16. The opposite of a minus or a negative 16 would be a positive 16. So whatever we do on the left, we need to do the same thing on the right. So we see opposites, a negative 16 and a positive 16 is 0. We can cancel those out, and we're left with n. Now we need to go back to our negative and positive rules. They have different signs. Different means first, which one's further from 0. The positive is further from 0, so our answer will be positive. Different signs, remember that's that key word we just talked about earlier in this section, difference. That means to subtract, so we get a negative 8. So our answer, n equals negative 8. Now we're going to take the extra 30 seconds and do the check. We're not going to be lazy. So we have n minus 16 equals negative 8. We're going to plug in negative 8 minus 16 equals negative 8. Now this is always where I'll be able to tell right away whether you stopped and did your check. So I'll have a lot of people who just put a check mark, they move on, and then they're really sad when they get this problem wrong. Some of you may be caught as I was going along that there was a mistake in there, right? Oh my goodness, a negative minus 16, this would be negative 8 plus negative 16 is negative 24. That's not the same as -8. Uh-oh, what does that tell me? That means that I made a mistake. So guess what? Go back, figure out what your mistake was. So my check didn't work. So that tells me that right away something is wrong. So I need to go back. You don't have to erase. I'm just erasing because I'm out of space. You can just go to the side. So I made a mistake. Do you see what my mistake was? And it's okay to make a mistake. We do. We all do. I even said it. I said, oh, look, it's going to be positive. But I didn't put a positive answer. This should be +8. So it's really important because we all do that. Even though it looks like a super easy problem, it looks like, oh, I can't get this wrong. But then we're going through and we're talking or we're distracted or we just, have a oops. No big deal. We fix it. So let's do our check again. N minus 16 equals -8. I'm going to plug in 8 minus 16 equals -8. I'm going to keep change. 8 plus -16. Oh, there we go. So my negative is bigger, which means my answer is negative, and I subtract. And now I'm good. Now I can move on. But again, it's really important that you take the time to do the check. Be careful with your negatives, that you show all your steps, because even though it seems like the problems are really simple, and probably for most of them they are, and we're going to do okay, you don't want to miss problems or make mistakes just because you're being careless or you're not taking your time. Good luck. Email me with questions.